Alright, so considering that Ganyu is less than a week away, I'm gonna be helping you guys build her. So quick disclaimer, freeze in the bottom left hand corner if I'm talking about a freeze Ganyu build, and melt in the bottom left hand corner if I'm talking about a melt Ganyu build. So Ganyu's best weapons for freeze will be the Polar Star, Aqua Simulacra, Thundering Pulse, Amos Bow, and Skyward Harp in that order. Now if you don't have any of them, great, because the next best weapon after all of those is the Prototype Crescent, which is a free-to-play weapon that you can craft in Mondstadt. Prototype Crescent is her best 4-star, and since it's free-to-play, I don't need to go over anymore. So now we get into my personal favorite way to play Ganyu, Melt. And her best weapons for this is Hunter's Path, Aqua Simulacra, Amos Bow, and then we get into the Inazuma weapon. Go to Inazuma, go craft the bow. That's the special bow that they have, and that is the best one for Melt Ganyu. So there is another way to play Ganyu, which is support. Ganyu being a support character works pretty well. So fun thing, when you're using support Ganyu, every single bow, like there is almost no bow that actually just increases your burst damage. They are all literally just stat sticks, which is like all of these. Like this is like really close, but it doesn't have anything here, right? This is the closest thing we have to a burst weapon bow. There's like no like consistency in this. Depending on the team really is what bow you're using. Because in some teams, Elegy of the End is going to be really, really good because you're buffing your main DPS, right? So like if you're running like sort of a Melt Hu Tao trying to run a Melt Hu Tao team, then that's going to be really good. And then in other cases, you know, we could have, you know, Aqua Simulacra be better because it's a freeze team support, right? And she gets, you know, extra burst damage here. So that's, I'm not going to rank any of these weapons, but just know that they're all stat sticks. If you have Moon's Moon, then it is the best 4-star, and other than that, I can just estimate that most of the 5-stars in the game are better, but I can't really say anything about this because it just depends on your team. So let's get into freeze teams. Ganyu wants Blizzard Share for freeze teams. Basically, every cryo character does. Right? Okay, makes sense. But you can also run Wonders Troop. Now, I would recommend farming a Blizzard Share because they can be insanely OP. I have done the Blizzard Share domain 0 times. This is all from the Strongbox in one singular day. Like, I have not farmed my Ayaka. My Ayaka consistently has 100% crit rate with 200% crit damage here. So, my Ayaka with a very, very bad, like if we just look at this, like crit rate, none of this stuff has crit damage except for this piece and this piece. And this piece was a given that it had crit damage, alright? So you don't even have to farm that much in order to have a good built character with Blizzard Share. So I highly recommend, if you haven't farmed Blizzard Share and you seriously want to use Ganyu for freeze, farm that Blizzard Share, alright? But if you don't have Blizzard Share, for the meantime, you can obviously use Wanderer's Troop. It's not bad. It's a good set. And it's versatile because it's also the best in slot for Melt. Now, it's the best in slot for Melt because the burst. Now, Shimenawa is a second best in slot, sort of. You know, it's a whole thing. But, like, Shimenawa, you know, she subtracts her energy, and it's you know, you can hit higher numbers, but overall with your burst, depending on how many enemies you're facing, you're gonna do less because Ganyu hits more enemies with her burst. Like, her burst is very, very good when you're facing like 10 enemies. But sadly with the game, it's sort of gone away from having like 10 enemies per chamber, and we're sort of like, oh yeah, here's 3 enemies or 2 big enemies, right? So sadly, not something that gets done often. So Shimenawa is the second one, but Wanderer's Troop is the best one for Melt. Okay, now let's get into her as a support. Could you guess what could we possibly want for Ganyu support? Yeah, it's Emblem. Every character, man. Every single character. You can find a way to use Emblem on every character. Emblem is good on every character, alright? Secondary would be Blizzard Share, obviously only if you are running a freeze team. Like, obviously, the Emblem will work on every team, so I highly recommend farming it. Even if you don't plan to use support Ganyu, just farm Emblem because it's Emblem, alright? Emblem is like the #1 thing you need to use. But if you're not caring about Ganyu's damage and you want your main DPS to do a lot of damage, besides Emblem and Blizzard Share, you also have Noblesse, which is very, very good. It raises your attack by 20%, but Noblesse can't stack, so depending on what kind of team you made, you might already have it, so you don't really need it. For Freeze main DPS and Melt DPS, just both of them. All right, listen, you want it. This is the #1 talent, all right? We all know why we got Ganyu. We got it for that 500% scaling per charge attack, all right? We know why. But second is obviously this. This is actually pretty good still. Even, like, it may not seem like it, but it is pretty good. I do consider crowning it sometimes. We'll see maybe one day. But yeah, you can honestly leave this at level 1. I mean, the inherited HP is nice. Like, getting more HP for this is good, especially if you're doing a support Ganyu. But I wouldn't recommend leveling it up that high. Like, I mean, you obviously can. Like, it scales pretty well. Like, it goes from, what, 168 to 180? Like, that's pretty good. And it does just do damage. Like, a 198%, that is damage. Okay, so I forgot to record the last part of the video. So we're back here. So, I have teams that I want to recommend, basically. Now, there is a variation for one of the teams, which is the Melt team. Now, this is my Melt team that I like to run sometimes. Whenever I'm doing, like, world boss domains and stuff, like, this is the team that I run. Zhongli's comfortability. But a thing that you do want to know is that if you switch Nahida, it is going to do insane amounts for your Ganyu, because she's going to give most likely 200 elemental mastery to Ganyu, depending on what your build is for Nahida. So that's probably an insane buff. And also, I don't know if Shangling is necessary on this team anymore. I believe she is still. I think Bennett might not be the necessary one. So I don't know who you would replace with that. Maybe Kazuha. This is my personal favorite because I like running Melt Ganyu over Freeze Ganyu. But speaking of Freeze Ganyu, here is the team that I've sort of made. This is a very 5-star heavy team. I understand. I don't really... I understand most of you probably don't have this, especially Kazuha at the end. Yeah, I mean, Shinha just got a rerun, so hopefully you pulled her. But if you didn't, you can obviously run, like, any other cryo character. They're just really here for cryo resonance. Let's say you wanted to use Kaya for, electroparticles. Not electroparticles? No. No, just cryoparticles. Or Ayaka. But Ayaka would sort of be stepping into my main DPS Ayaka. Or not main DPS, but my just sort of one-hitter quitter with Ayaka here. Like, I just want this team to make Ayaka's burst do as much damage as possible. And this is the team that I use. And this is basically like, oh, I'm going up against the boss and I just want to kill it. This is the team. Because it'll get you set up. The energies won't be too good. With Kazuha, if you have Zypho's Blade, he's going to help. But the energies still aren't going to be that good. So I do like this quite a bit. I like these teams. So yeah, that's how to build Ganyu. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative. Make sure to subscribe if you did. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.